Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Urbana, and as a MasterCard Global Ambassador and someone who is incredibly passionate about grassroots rugby, it really gives me great pleasure to welcome you today to our discussion where the topic is women in mind, women involved, scoring a try for women in rugby. Women's Month in South Africa is an opportunity for us to celebrate the women who are making an incredible contribution in their various fields. It also gives us a chance to potentially reflect on the obstacles we need to overcome to level the playing field that ultimately will benefit everyone. Today, we shine the spotlight on women in rugby, and I should add the future of rugby. With the tremendous growth that women's rugby is experiencing globally, there are so many opportunities, but there's also a lot more to do, particularly at grassroots level, in order to see it develop even further. For me, since becoming a MasterCard ambassador, I've seen up close and personal how MasterCard truly unlocks more opportunities for people by connecting them to these incredibly priceless possibilities, including sport, which has a special place in the heart of so many South Africans. Last year, I had the privilege in participating in a priceless surprise of the Pirate women's rugby team. I want you to have a look at it because it was really special.
The growth of women's rugby globally has been absolutely phenomenal.
Pirates Rugby Club. There's a women's rugby team there that was formed just a couple of years ago. You need the grassroots of women's sports to be strong.
As women in rugby, we don't get as much support as we need.
You're seen as an outcast, you're seen as not one of the norm.
People be like, nah man, that sport is for men.
We lack the recognition that a man would get.
It's always a strange feeling kind of these priceless surprises. You don't know what the reactions are going to be like.
So good to be here, seriously.
It reminds me of my club, Southbridge Rugby Club is where I started my rugby, and this is real grassroots rugby, and it's something so unique and so special, and you're part of the reason that women's sport, women's rugby is so strong, because you need these foundations at grassroots levels.
The beauty about rugby especially, I think, is that if we were all the same, rugby would be an unbelievably boring sport.
Brian has talked about that brotherhood, and I can see it here in this room already, that sisterhood. No matter what background or upbringing you've had, it doesn't matter, because you come together and you're all equal and you're the same in this room, because when you're playing in a team, you're one.
Because of rugby, I've learned that broken isn't finished.
Brian, what are you teaching over there?
Because of rugby, I finally believe in my own strength.
Because of rugby, I learned to tackle my fears.
Because of rugby, I've learned not to dwell on mistakes, but to keep moving forward.
So looking back at that video and just being able to reflect on what was not only for myself, but for Dan Carter, a really special moment. You sometimes get to be a part of these priceless surprises and you have no idea what the end product was going to be. And, sometimes we all joke about being a one-take wonder. That you saw there was a one-take wonder. Seeing those priceless reactions, seeing the way in which that moment really became the start of what has been an incredible journey for most of those women in that change room. And that raw emotion was something that was so tangibly special. And every time we go back to it, it just sort of warms you up in a way that nothing else does. And along with MasterCard, I really hope that today's discussion becomes a catalyst that inspires positive change for women's rugby, beyond this platform, beyond where we currently are. So ladies and gentlemen, we're in for a big treat and an exciting conversation today. But before we kick off the discussion, I would like to hand over to Suzanne Morel, who is the country manager for MasterCard South Africa. Suzanne, I'm going to pass the ball over to you to kickstart this discussion, as I also know you have a very, very special announcement to make today.
So thank you, Brian. I'm delighted to be a part of this event today. Women in Mind, Women Involved, giving you access to the leaders of South Africa's growing women's rugby scene. I mean, rugby is an exciting sport. I don't have to say that to an audience of South Africans. And what is going on in women's rugby here and around the world is unprecedented. Women's rugby is the fastest growing sport in the world. More young women have been signing up for the sport than young men. And on a global basis, 2.7 million women play rugby, more than a quarter of all players. Women are watching the game too. And I can personally attest to that. I mean, 40% of the sport's 400 million fans are women. And some of the best players are right here in South Africa, which is pretty cool. Now, despite these gains, inequality and exclusion still hold women back. Often the data that we rely on to create the future just doesn't capture women's experiences. And we fail to spot the barriers that prevent women from seizing the possibilities we create, be it from accurately and adequately being represented in the media, from receiving financial support to compete at an international level, or even just getting the right access to equipment, training kit, coaching methods that are really designed to meet women's unique needs. So MasterCard's tackling these challenges head on. And I'm proud that we've been championing women's rugby for years. I mean, last year, as you saw from the Priceless Surprise video that Brian played, we started something priceless with the Pirates Women's Rugby Club. I mean, here we celebrated and supported these successful women role models who are pushing past stereotypes. It was so well received that we extended our involvement to sponsoring the team in the Women's Rugby 7 Global Tournament in Dubai. I mean, this was the first time the team had been able to travel to an international tournament. So they not only gained this valuable international experience, but most of all, they really impressed us with their passion. So I'm delighted to announce that we will be expanding our support of women's rugby in South Africa. We'll do this by sponsoring the Golden Lions Rugby Union Amateur Women's Club League, the Women's Pirates Grand Challenge, and the Lions Senior Women's Team. Our sponsorship funding is going to give players access to training and match day kit, equipment, and coaching clinics. By investing in and developing women's rugby at grassroots level, we're able to directly contribute much needed resources where we can make a significant difference. We can also raise the visibility and appeal to a broader range of fans and encourage more women to join. So why do it besides supporting a really great game? We do it because if you truly believe in the importance of equality and diversity, you need to commit to leveling the playing field everywhere. Everyone should have the opportunity to pursue their dreams. And that means offering role models, opportunities, support, and seeing the greatest development of human capital and human potential possible. So when we're talking about women's rugby today, we're really talking about women's inclusion, opportunity, and passions. Sport becomes a source of camaraderie, of teamwork, leadership, and skills building, accomplishment, and pride. And those things happen when you're playing at school, whether you're playing for a club or you're playing at a national level. I mean, MasterCard has made a worldwide commitment to diversity and equality. We've stated goals of bringing 1 billion people into the world's financial system, including a direct focus on providing 25 million women entrepreneurs with solutions that can help them grow their businesses. This means giving them access to products that meet their unique needs, which unlocks opportunities to learn, earn, and save. To achieve this external goal, we started from the inside out. We pay women 100 cents on the dollar relative to male peers. We involve women in product design before these products ever reach markets. And we're balancing our sponsorship portfolios. We're a sponsor of the Rugby World Cup, which we saw the Springboks claim last year, and of Girl Next Door through women's grassroots rugby. So as we champion the women who are transforming the way our world works, we're investing in the future. It's what Priceless is all about, which is unlocking the potential in every individual. After all, connecting people to possibilities is fundamental to what we do at MasterCard, because a world that works better for women creates limitless possibilities for all of us. So I hope I've made a persuasive case for the value of supporting women's initiatives, and I won't say any more, so that we can talk about the future of rugby with the real stars of the show, the ones who are actually making it happen. So thank you, and back to you, Brian.
Thank you so much, Suzanne, and fantastic news about the GLRU sponsorship. This brings us right into today's discussion. I'm pleased to introduce you to our panelists today, starting off with Chanel Alberts, who is the head coach at Pirates Women's Rugby Club, a woman that has been incredibly energetic, passionate about making a tangible difference, in the women's game, and has seen the Pirates Women's Rugby Club go on to achieve some phenomenal things. Piwakuhle Nyanda is a Springbok and Golden Lions women's rugby player, probably faster than me, if I have to be brutally honest, and someone whose energy and passion supersedes the manner in which she plays the game. We then move on to Bongo Nhleko, the Golden Lions Rugby Union Exco representative for women's rugby, and also a former Golden Lions captain. Next on our panel is Neville Jardine, president of the Golden Lions Rugby Union. So first of all, over to our panelists, I'm going to go to the president of the Golden Lions Rugby Union, Mr. Neville Jardine, who has been in the game for a number of decades. I remember when I started playing out at the Lions, myself and the Jardine family, had a relationship with my father, and they are really entrenched in this rugby culture. Mr. Jardine, just to you, globally we know that women's rugby is showing tremendous growth. How important is it to drive, the increased participation of women for the future of the game?
It's so important. Sport has the power to change lives. It has the power to unite people. It has the power to break down barriers, and it's extremely important that we grow the game, particularly for women in our society, and especially at this point in our history of our country, where we need to bring women to the forefront and to ensure that they have better opportunities, and that we really embrace them. Not only in normal society, but in our sport as well. It is so important that because as you know, that sport teaches us resilience, it teaches us self-reliance, and it teaches us teamwork. And it is for that reason that we need to take the sport right down to grassroots.
Brilliant, sir. And again, I think that whole perspective of grassroots rugby and really taking it back to the fundamentals of the game is extremely important. Piwo, over to you. I know that you have challenged me to a few races. Obviously, my knee is still as sore as it was last year, so I'm not going to be accepting any challenges. But you're a Springbok player, and you're also a coach of a girls' team. What do you love about the game of rugby? What makes it so special for you?
What I really love about rugby is it's the only sport I believe that, there's a place for everybody. It doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are, if you're thick, if you're tiny, if you're old, if you're young, if you're a woman, if you're a man. It's the only sport that everyone has a place, Everyone can be whoever they want to be. And rugby is empowering, and it teaches us discipline and commitment. It's the only sport that you really learn how to commit to something, because it's really painful. And if you can't commit to the pain, if you can't commit to the hard work, then you can't really play. So rugby, for me, what I love the most about it is it taught me how to commit to something fully with no boundary.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think it's awesome to hear, straight out of the mouth of someone, who loves the game so much and who has gone through various challenges, but to get to a point where that love for the game has now spurred you on to, to achieve national honors, represent your country, and over and above that, actually being able to give back to the game. So, Piwa, we salute you for what you are doing in terms of the women's game. We salute you for your energy and your passion and your commitment. And, long may we see a lot more tries being scored. And I will be cheering you on. I won't be racing you, just to clarify. Chanel, over to you. We have got to engage on a number of occasions over the course of the last 18 months. I think your drive and your passion for the growth of the women's game, is something remarkable. I think South Africa and women's rugby in South Africa is extremely fortunate to have you sort of involved in that sort of spearheaded opportunity to drive the growth. And I think I'd like to really ask you, what spurred the growth of women's participation in rugby in South Africa? And for you, where do you see some of the benefits, in the growth of this game and in particular?
I think from a participation point of view, the inclusion of sevens rugby in the Olympics was a big catalyst, and obviously that was in 2016 in the Rio Olympics, and it would have been this year the second time it took place. And I think more and more girls are keen to participate, and they want to be an Olympian. And what a great way to celebrate playing rugby. for me personally, I've seen that women are drawn to rugby for much more than just playing the game. They're drawn to that, and I think you and Dan spoke about it. They're drawn to that sisterhood, that community that takes place, that camaraderie that you feel when you are part of a team. And that feeling that, you know, you're part of something that's bigger than yourself is really, really inspiring. And also that sisterhood uplifts you and it supports you. And in doing so, it's empowering these women and it's creating great leaders in our community. And I think for me, that is being able to play, being able to be whoever you want to be, being able to be yourself. Rugby allows you this liberation to just express yourself.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, and really coming from someone who's extremely passionate about the game and is, you know, changing the way with the women's game is being seen not only in South Africa but globally. Mr. Jardine, coming back to you, are you able to sort of provide any insight on the key national priorities for the development of the women's game and rugby in particular from a government perspective, and, you know, where the Golden Lions Rugby Union are doing certain things to sort of support this?
You know, Chanel spoke about the importance of women's rugby. She touched on the Olympics and the importance thereof. You know, as the Golden Lions, we need to support all those projects and so on. We need to support in fact the government intervention to make sure that sport is provided to all. The key for us is to provide access to the game. And what we're doing at the Lions, and in 2019, you may know that we embarked on a program called Getting to Rugby for Girls, which actually catered for under 11s and under 13s. We also have under 16 and under 18 the school program, and of course we have our provincial team. In 2020, we were going to embark on a program to try and bring all our under 18 schools into the program, and I believe that we've got about 18 schools that was already signed up for this project. We need to roll it out to more girls and make the game accessible. And in making the game accessible, we must not only grant them those opportunities, but we need to upskill them. We need to ensure that we embark on capacity building programs to make sure that we produce more referees, more coaches, more administrators to really grow the game and just level the playing field for all our women. We are so keen, you know, to deliver on this project, and especially with MasterCard coming in, I think it will accelerate our program and really assist us going forward.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant that, you know, that the Golden Lions Rugby Union is also sort of stating the standards in being proactive. I'm going to sort of come back to you on this one. I sort of know firsthand, you know, the journey and the road it takes to become a Springbok, you know, from the men's perspective, and it's not an easy one. And, you know, you look at the potential previous inequality that, you know, the women's game had. You know, what for you has been some of the challenges that you in particular have needed to overcome to pursue your love for the game of rugby?
So for women, generally the biggest challenge I think is we start playing the game late. You know, we start playing in our 20s. We have people playing their first rugby match in their 30s. So then the bigger problem that comes after that, you know, you're learning a game when you already learned a lot of things in life. You know, when you're 20, you have learned a couple of things. And then now you're learning something different. And then there's no funding for games, you know. So you're learning a sport and you can't really test your development because you're not playing enough. So those are the challenges that we face, you know, day to day. Like you learn and then, you know, you don't have enough game time to play. And then we're women, you know, we have children, we have families. You have to balance your family, work, school, or varsity, and, you know, the passion, because rugby is not professional at the moment, you know.
No, fantastic. And I think that's some really insightful information around, again, you know, how we can take this journey forward. I think it is developing at a rate, and, you know, I think as South Africans, we can't be left behind. You know, we have seen the challenges facing, you know, both our women's 7s and 15 side in terms of that international preparation. Like you say, if yes, women, you know, take that advantage of being at the forefront, but as a game and as a fraternity in its totality, I think we all need to play our part. And I think, Mr. Jardine, coming back to you, with the phenomenal rate of growth that we are currently seeing, you know, is there a tangible level of interest from brands and from audiences who really want to watch, or are they even keeping pace with, you know, this incredible growth of the women's game?
Brian, so far not yet. So the brands are not seeing the actual potential of the women's game. So we know what is happening, and at the Lions, we're actually working on a program. In fact, this coming weekend, we're meeting to decide on how we're going to market the game of the future. We're speaking to stakeholders right now who may be able to record our games, and once people are watching the game on TV or even on live video streaming, we would be able to market it better. But I'm telling you that I think MasterCard is far ahead of the pack, and they've seen the potential of what the women's brand can do for South Africa and for rugby.
Bongi, I want to come to you because your story is an incredibly inspirational one. As one of the few women on an executive board level throughout the game in South Africa, why for you is it important to have representation at a senior leadership level, and particularly maybe from a coaching perspective? Because I think that is also the various levels of the sport, where we really need to see an increase, in a women and a female participation perspective. And what do you sort of feel needs to be done?
It's important to have women representation at senior level because it levels the playing field, and I mean, different opinions and perspectives are good for business and for sports in general. So I feel what needs to be done is that women need to be engaged and encouraged to challenge the norm with more mentorship, training, and upskillment of programs that need to take place for those players that don't want to play or retire, can be coaches or in administrative roles.
And then sort of moving over to, again, the next topic of discussion and how we, as the fraternity, can potentially explore, the positive opportunities and the advantageous opportunities that await the women's game. And people are going to come to you, and I know you have had a bit of a priceless journey with MasterCard over the course of the last 18 or so months. But for you as a player, for you as a coach of a young, female team, what does the sponsorship for the Golden Lions Rugby Union, actually mean to the players?
So this opportunity is not just great for the Golden Lions or Pirate side, but it's great for every woman in South Africa that's playing rugby, because change starts with one person. MasterCard acknowledging that there is no sponsorship for women directly in the country, and then choosing, us to sponsor is probably trend setting for maybe more people, investing in women's rugby, like directly to women's rugby. Like I said previously, learning a game and then not getting game time to play that game is a problem, because then we're not catching up with the rest of the world. We're not growing as we should be growing. So this sponsorship means that we actually stand an opportunity to play more games, meaning now we can actually become better. We are going to be better, because if you play, you actually know, this is what I need to work on. So this is really great for little kids growing up, because these are the steps that one day maybe you don't have to choose between I have to work or I have to play rugby. You can just choose to play rugby.
Brilliant. And I think, Mr. Jordan, to sort of then come to you, we know rugby is a inclusive game. We know it is for, all shapes and sizes. But women, sort of who play rugby come from various different backgrounds in particular. Yeah. Are there sort of broader social benefits, when women play the game of rugby? And, what are your thoughts around that?
The social benefits for women in rugby, it's not only in rugby, but it's in administration and in as I mentioned earlier, refereeing and coaching. So we've recognized very early when I came into office that we needed to empower our women. We needed to make sure that women take control of the game in itself. And Bongi will tell you more about that. We saw Bongi as a natural leader when she was captain of the Lions team, and it was then that we had a strong discussion around why it is important that we bring women even into our executives, into the boardrooms, and it's extremely important that we do that so that women control everything around women. In Chanel, we also brought in the first women's coach at the Lions. It was largely run by men in the past, But we've recognized that we need to empower our women. We need to make sure that they take their rightful places, because not only does it build confidence, it builds self-esteem, and it makes sure that we level the playing fields between men and women in our society, in rugby, and just granting everybody broader access. It also allows people from all different walks of life to meet and interact with each other. You find an engineer, a student, an unemployed person, all playing the game and all loving the game. And when they meet, they can interact and really enjoy just being together and enjoying, the game of rugby, which we all love so dearly.
Chanel, coming to you, and we have touched on it. We saw that video. That Pirates women's rugby team, priceless surprise. When myself and Dan came to the change room. It is a special moment, I think, for me. It was the first time I got to experience the women's game in a capacity like that at grassroots level. And it has, sort of been entrenched, into those very core emotional departments within my heart. But, can you share the experience around that? Can you share, how that was the start of something incredibly special, for you and that Pirates women's rugby team?
Brian, that was a phenomenal moment. And I think from not just a coaching point of view, but from a player's point of view, it's that sense of recognition. Having the likes of yourself and Dan come to our club and spending time with the girls and actually providing them with a bit of experience and wisdom of your playing days is so valuable. And it was an incredible moment. I think every girl, when you play rugby, you want to be recognized and valued as a rugby player. And your presence did that. But I think the wisdom that you shared is so valuable in terms of what it meant to the players. And I know you said to us, whenever you make a mistake, we asked you about mental toughness and etc. And you said, when you make a mistake, you have to say next job and move on. I could see the girls when they run onto the field and they make a mistake, they go to each other, high five each other, come next job, let's go on. And that's so inspirational, And Dan said to us, pressure is a privilege. And we were playing in the final of the league and we were on our try line, defending, and it went on for very long. And at one moment I was thinking, you know what, this is actually a crucial moment, but I'm like, no, this team is prepared and this team believes that pressure is a privilege. But I think, in terms of the players that you guys spoke to, those girls or those women, should I say, they're also coaching at school level. And those little bits of advice, that little bit of wisdom is not just going to stay at Pirates, but I also saw it filter through into the Lions provincial team, and I can see it filter through to the school teams. And by having that one priceless moment by MasterCard and having you guys come and just give us a little bit of advice, it might just inspire a whole generation.
Yeah, what a phenomenal story, and I think the sharing those experiences, Chanel, and I think it definitely was the start of something extremely priceless, the start and the catalyst for what was an incredibly special year for you and the team. If my memory serves me correctly, you then went on to not lose a game after that. You went on to win the league, but then you also went on to become the first women's team to ever win a team of the year within the grassroots or club environment in South Africa. And then just to top it all off, when everyone thought it was the best year ever, MasterCard came on board and gave you all an opportunity, some for the first time ever, to jump on a plane and participate in the Dubai Rugby Sevens for what that competition means. And I think for you and the team, that international exposure, what was it like? Can you share just some of the events that took place, the feedback that you got from the girls post that week over in Dubai?
I think, yes, it was a phenomenal year for us, and it just shows, that there is definitely a space for women's rugby to grow. We played in the local club league, and I think we were so hungry to actually spread our wings and test it, because that's what you want to do. I think for us, we didn't know where we sat in terms of global rugby, and we didn't know where we position ourselves. And I think for me, it was very important for us to find an opportunity, and thank you, Mastercard, to go and actually experience a international tournament. And Brian, you learn so much, and it's just so incredible being there and being on the field, playing there. And I think there were definitely moments of brilliance, and there were moments that we made mistakes. And the thing is, you have to make these mistakes because that's the only way that you learn. But first, you have to get the opportunity. And I think running the tournament in the Dubai Sevens runs with the International Sevens Series and getting an opportunity to actually see your international women's sevens teams playing and participating and seeing, this is the level that we want to achieve, and this is where we want to go, and this is why we want to develop and grow. And I think with hard work, commitment, and dedication, and putting the right structures in place, we can not just get Pirates to a better level, but we can contribute to provincial setup and the national setup, like Pure was playing for the national side now, and we can actually start contributing to the success of rugby within the whole of South Africa.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much for sharing that, Chanel. And so as we wrap up this panel and this announcement of Mastercard's sponsorship of this Golden Lions Rugby Union and its women's department, I think, just a final thoughts from each and every one. I think, Bongi, over to you. We've heard a lot of various things being said, but what as a fraternity, what as a community, what as brands and sponsorships can people learn, particularly from women in the game of rugby?
What we can learn from women in rugby is their strength, not only on the field physically, but also emotionally. The strength that they have emotionally and their resilience, through all the challenges that the women are facing, they still manage to bounce back and do what they are passionate about. So their persistence, their perseverance in all sectors.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think, if we as men, first and foremost, and potentially as the rugby fraternity, don't understand that women are persistent and that they will persevere through everything, we're in the wrong environment, because the game is growing at a phenomenal rate, for the women. And we as men need to understand that, we need to try get that equality of some sort. Pio, as we head over to you for your final thoughts, I'd love to get your understanding of potentially how can we encourage more women to tackle the challenges head on that are being faced in the women's game in rugby, and hopefully in so doing, seeing the growth continue and not die out.
So, I think you have to be the change that you want to see. Former players need to, get involved. There's been discouragement, no funding, no support. But now people are actually coming and trying to help. We have the support of the likes of Brian Abana, Mastercard. So we need to take up the space, like Zizo said. We need to be the coaches. We need to create opportunities. Let's change what we feel was done wrong. Like, if you feel you started late, go coach a 5-year-old how to catch and pass, so that we have a future of well-equipped, well-informed rugby female players. So I think the change will come with everyone, playing a part. After playing, don't just stop. Support the game. If you have a business, support the game. If you can coach, support the game. And we need to get to a point where we are each other's support system. Like, we have issues of playing in empty stadiums, for example. Let's get there and watch each other. If my club is not playing and a neighboring club is playing, get there and watch the game. And I think that's the only way we're going to grow the game, if we support each other.
Yeah, thanks, Pio. And Mr. Jardine, coming over to you. You are, of all our panelists, and even in me in particular, you have been the most entrenched in the game of rugby, for the last 3-4 decades. And you do really have the passion for the game at the core. And you have seen some phenomenal things in terms of how rugby has changed lives and made that positive impact. Is there some personal stories that you can share with everyone out there about the values you've seen rugby portray in bringing people together? You saw the amateur era, you saw the apartheid era, you saw the rise of Turfu and people coming together through the love that is the game.
Yes, Brian. As we said that rugby has the power to change lives and to unify people and so on. And I've seen it over many years. But the key thing is that when discussing women in particular, just with the leagues that we're seeing already, the lives of some of our players are changing. Children young girls at schools has already got bursaries at universities. We have our own PO over here that is a role model to other young girls and so on. And that's what we need to do. We need to create role models. We need to make sure that we can show the talents and showcase what is happening with women's rugby in particular. We need to get to a stage where we have in women's rugby the Brian Banners of the world, so that when we say people, everybody will know exactly what's happening, and that is the goal that we really need to strive to. I've been involved in a local club where we have rugby clinics, and I can tell you that out of about 200 children on a Saturday morning, half of them are young girls and so on. So the potential is there. We just need to maximize on all of that. We need to make sure that that we can grow the game and to show what the positive impact sport has, and particularly rugby.
Chanel, to end off with you, and you have really been inspirational for the game, for the women around the country, around the world. And I think if we can all have women like yourself, making a stand through the hardships, through the struggles, continually putting that stake further and further, as we sort of try to get to that equality. But I'd like to sort of find, as a final thoughts from your side, how do you think, are we potentially able to make women create their own opportunity in, this very masculine dominated environment? What do women need to do? How do they need to approach things? Is there a support structure that they can tap into? Is there leadership? Is there experience? And how really can we enable them?
Brian, for me, a simple rule is the success of one is the success of all. By empowering each other, you empower yourself. And by installing that, you grow confidence. And when you have confidence, you have people that believe in themselves. And I think one of the greatest issues, especially in terms of women, is they don't necessarily always believe what they're capable of. And I think sometimes it's just by supporting one another, you can actually grow in confidence, and you can actually get to that place where they realize that the possibilities are actually endless, and that it is actually within ourselves to actually create the change. I think having myself, as Neville said, having myself as a coach, it creates the opportunity. I think as a young girl, I never ever thought the possibility existed for me to coach a provincial team. And here we are. And having Bongi as an ex-co, I'm a firm believer that you should have women in powerful positions who are capable of actually advocating for other women. And I think having Bongi as an ex-co member is a step in the right direction. And we're creating change. But I think ultimately it comes down to us as individuals. If I can have that team believing that they can have a positive influence on each other and on the world, then I think that is the success. And that is why rugby is so important, not just as for playing, but also for you on a personal level. It empowers you, it liberates you, and it gives you confidence and the voice to actually become the best version of yourself.
Yeah, the best version of yourself. See the positive, and as Pio alluded to, be the change that you want to see. That brings an end to this discussion, and what an incredibly inspiring discussion it was. Chanel, Pio, Bongi, Mr. Jardine, and Suzanne. Thank you all for for being today's special guest, for sharing your views and for contributing to this extremely important conversation. I think there is little doubt that the future of the rugby is really, really bright, especially as more women, play the game, pick up the game, that more brands like MasterCard get involved and more fans actually watch the game. So I'd like to thank MasterCard for its support of the development of women's rugby, not only at the highest level, but through the sponsorship of the Golden Lions Rugby Union and its priceless approach to grassroots rugby, which is, as we all have seen, where the magic begins. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this discussion. And we look forward to seeing the game for the women, grow into greater opportunities. All the best. Go well.